Hello and welcome to another beautiful edition of Iron Port. Iron Port, as you know, has been designed to bring Ghana's maritime and shipping industry closer to you. This program is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GOIL, PLC, Syrian Insurance, Ghana Link, Meridian Ports Services, and it is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Our media partner is the Business and Financial Times. Viewers, today we are turning our attention to Ghana's blue economy and how we can harness its full potential for economic development. According to maritime consultant and legal practitioner Dr. Emmanuel Kofi Mbiah, it's about time, and it is even more imperative now for us to look that way in the face of the economic challenges we face as a nation. Let us hear more on what he had to say on how we can harness Ghana's blue economy for economic development.
I dare say that the blue economy has the capacity or ability to give some respite, perhaps to countries that are reeling under serious economic hardship, and maybe developing countries in general. Yeah. If you come to our country, Ghana, we are working assiduously to achieve some consensus with the IMF for a bailout, sort of, to inject some, life into our economy and all that, if you agree with me. Yeah. I want to find out from you, is this what the blue economy has the potential to do for countries if we manage it properly?
You're right. Maybe. I mean, I don't have the figures, I don't have any statistics, but I believe that maybe if we had focused, our minds on the potential of the blue economy and harness that potential, we will not be going to the IMF. Will not be, and I would explain. As we go on, and you would see that there is enormous potential.
Right.
Look. It is estimated, that the ocean and its resources is worth over $24 trillion. It's worth over $24 trillion, the ocean and its resources. Yes. You get me? If you take the United States of America, for example, in the year 2020, America had its GDP 1.7% from its ocean economy, which amounts to over $360 billion. $360 billion. If you come to the European Union, about $500 billion for the European Union. Euros, 500 billion euros. Yes. That is the ocean economy. You get me? So that should tell you that for these people, they have realized long ago the potential that this holds. If you look at, before we started, you showed Evergreen,
yes.
Carrying 24,000 TEUs of containers. Yes. To have a ship in a place that would displace a certain amount of water cannot be anywhere than in the oceans.
Absolutely.
You get me? So when we talk about the potential of the oceans, we are not looking at it in the narrow sense of what do we get from the oceans. No. But you are looking at it because the ocean exists. Yes. What can I create? So someone knows that I can build a ship that can carry 24,000 TEUs. Yeah. Building that ship is an economy.
Absolutely.
It's an economy. There is no doubt about
24,000 containers.
24,000 TEUs. And if you take Asia, they control about 70% of the production of our ships. So they build 70% of the ships that come out there. Why would not their economies grow? Yeah. But it's all related to the oceans. So when we talk about the blue economy, we don't look at it in the narrow sense of the word. We look at it in the broader sense in terms of the complementarities, in terms of the synergies that it will help to create.
All right, so can we zoom into the key areas that we can look at in terms of our economy, that can be harnessed, for the good of this country?
It is important to mention that when we are looking at the potential, we are looking in terms of maybe one major thing like the port of Tema. And out of the port of Tema, you are where you create maybe the shipping harbor, you create the shipyard and dry dock, the cocoa processing factory, Valco, other industries, all of them that then relate to the port. In fact, it is that combination of things which benefits one from the other that I refer to as the blue cluster. the blue cluster. So I use the terminology, the blue cluster approach, to relate to using the sea as a fulcrum, and therefore as a center point.
Right.
And with that center point, you generate an economy around various things.
Right.
I've used Tema as an example.
Right.
For example, if we take our Atuabo, you get me? If we develop Atuabo, what do we intend it to be? Is it only a gas plant and that is all?
Yeah.
But there are other complementarities that can come from Atuabo.
Right.
And therefore, our thinking, our perception should not be limited only to Atuabo. But then, what other industries can flow from there and benefit from the gas resources that you are tapping from the sea? If you take, we are taking upstream oil.
Yes.
To what extent do we break it down to maybe midstream and downstream? Because until you do that, then the benefits that are derivable from the blue economy are not derived.
Yes.
You get me? So it's important for you, even at the stage of planning, to know that, yes, I'm going to take my oil and gas resources from the seabed, but even as I take my oil and gas resources, what other things do I put in place such that I can realize the potential of the blue economy?
Right.
It's very important. So you are taking oil and gas, but that is not the end.
Right.
Once you get the oil and gas, you move from upstream to midstream to downstream. And then you see what industries can relate to this. And consequently, all of this have synergies which they create for the benefit of the oil and gas industry. If you don't harness that potential, and you take your oil from the belly of the sea, and then you pump it into tanks, and they drive it away, you are losing the potential that the blue economy generates. You know, and that is key for us. And that is why I said we must be thinking beyond just harnessing the product, but what other complementarities, what other synergies does it give us, which we can draw from. And therefore, I have mentioned Atuabo, I have mentioned our oil and gas finds in the Jubilee fields. We are talking, say, about the Kita port. I mean, if Kita port should come on, should it just be a port? Because you must think beyond the port and see what are the other things that, because I have a port here, I can quickly develop along the line.
That's right.
And those are the things which are important in generating an economy within the blue economy. We have only one coastline. We don't have two. When we talk about the sea coast, we have just one. You can't replicate it in Tamale. You can't replicate it in Bolga. You can't replicate it anywhere. Just one sea coast. That is what God has given to you. And therefore, you make the maximum use of it. All the developed economies, they have realized this, and therefore, they make maximum use of their coastal resources.
I think that's the lighthouse.
So that's the lighthouse. Yes. And I'm sure if you see the entire coastline over there, for the life of me, I can't believe it. You know, I grew up as a small boy in Kolegono.
Yes.
And when I was growing up in Kolegono, they used a pontoon to cross over from where now is Kolebu and Kolegono.
Yes.
A pontoon crosses over to come to mainland Accra.
Right.
To come to mainland Accra. You can imagine, you know, the enormity of the waters. And you can tell the lagoon, you know, and people were fishing in the lagoon. This is something God has created for us. And if we want to glorify God, government should take this as very important. The whole stretch from the Kole Lagoon along the beach front where the Jamestown lighthouse is, all the way to Abosokai, it's a stretch that holds great potential for this country. And if government were serious and revamped the whole area, I mean, I was in a place in Singapore called Clark Keys. I think it was originally something along these lines, but they have converted it, and it generates an economy on its own. And you can have boats on it, you can have real estate, you can have good property, all of these things, you know. So when I'm talking about, say, the Marine Drive, you're not talking only about Marine Drive, you're talking about the estates, you're talking about the ocean resources and the recreation that it brings. So the tourism that you want, you get it there because you have created the facilities for it. So it is important that, I've seen government after government. I just don't know why a natural habitat like the lagoon will be killed.
Yeah.
We are pouring garbage into a natural habitat and putting up buildings in a place that ordinarily should fetch us gold. It's worth more than gold.
Right.
That stretch is worth more than gold. You have a place that you can develop and have real estate, prime real estate in these areas, and yet you can tell what we are doing in this place. It's rather sad. It's rather sad that we are putting garbage into this place and putting up buildings that has nothing related to the habitat. If you look at the filth there, the flora, the fauna, anything that would grow in this is being killed.
Yes.
But this, I tell you, can transform Accra's economy.
Right.
That place alone can transform.
You say it has great potential. When I say great potential, Can you expatiate on?
Yes, because you see, if you dredge all through the lagoon, it goes all the way to Circle.
Right.
Yeah. And we can put boats on this, and the boats will go and come. You build restaurants, you build hotels, you build recreational facilities all around this place, and then you would find out that there are synergies also to be built, because as you run the boats, there will be a need to do repairs. You have to create yards for them, and each of them a multiplicity of things. Ancillary services, therefore develop naturally. Ancillary services develop naturally out of this, because you must service that particular industry. So this is only one area that I have mentioned. Today, in developed economies, they are looking at tidal energy. They are looking at wave energy. They are looking at wind energy. We're talking renewables. The world is moving away from fossil fuels. The investment in fossil fuels is dropping.
Yes.
So it is important that we look ahead. In looking ahead, we need to be training our people along these lines.
Absolutely.
So that we can tap energy from the sea, either through tidal, through wave, or through wind. All of these we have the potential to do. So it is important to bear in mind that while you are talking about the fishery, you are talking about the ports, you are talking about the industrial developments around the ports, you are talking about the ocean energy, you are talking about recreation, around, and therefore there are a number of things that you can create a cluster around these, and consequently you would develop, because the oceans are there. We don't know when the seas will dry up. You get me? We don't know when the seas will dry up. So their presence should enable us to harness its potential.
Right.
All of these things I have mentioned, including our security itself, they are all dependent on these. Unfortunately, we have not put in place any definitive plan and policy to enable us tap the resources of the ocean.
So if I take a look at what you just described, having to dredge the area and put boats there, all the way through to Circle, put restaurants all over the place to get people. It means that we're also even enhancing our tourism industry.
That is it. Tourists will come ourselves. Over here we'll have local tourism. Our people will go there, they would gather. We create a place that runs 24 hours.
Absolutely.
And people are going and coming, and that is it. We create an economy on its own. And when you want to book a hotel in that place, how expensive it will be because of the location. And it is important that governments look at these and then try as much as possible, look deep into the future, build institutional capacity, also have training, so that our youth can begin to look ahead. Because we are far behind when it comes to these things. We are far behind.
All right, that was a very insightful submission from maritime consultant and legal practitioner, Dr. Emmanuel Kofi Mbiah. Now let us hear your comments, questions on the subjects we have just discussed after we go on break, and we'll be back with more news. Kudos to my former lecturer, Dr. Mbiah from RMU. He has all that it takes to shape and harness these resources. This afternoon, I was driving along the Sakmono beach and I was thinking the same. Can he put up a strategic plan to government for implementation or seeking foreign investors to invest in these? This comes from Paul Abaka from Live Shipping in Tema.
I'm aware that there is a National Integrated Maritime Strategy, the NIMS, yes. Which is coming out with something along the lines to ensure that we have marine spatial planning and the rest. So I'm sure government itself is aware and will take it up. Yes. But at any point in time, we all make a contribution towards it.
My name is Ato. Honestly, I agree with Dr. Mbiah. The whole beyond the return tourism agenda by government can be boosted by proper planning of our coastline. The parties and festivals are not enough. It's about time we create world-class tourism.
I said there is only one seafront, one coastline, you get me? And therefore, if you put structures like that over there, you are wasting the resource completely. And that is why I agree with him that indeed we should go beyond the return and then the things we do.
The parties and the festivals.
I mean, look, we can make it mega. Absolutely. We can make it mega. And this issue about jobs, I'm telling you, this would absorb a lot.
Hi, I wasn't so clear on Doc's point when it comes to how we will fund these lofty projects. Can we practically hear how we can? My name is Citizen Toby.
I mentioned PPP.
Yes.
I said public-private partnership. Yes. I said you have to prepare your plan and then show that these are bankable. These are investments that will yield in the long run.
Right.
And that you shouldn't have a myopic or limited view of only the development along the ocean, but then look at also the ripple benefits that are likely to come out. And when you do a good paper, a good presentation on this with proper costing, looking in the long term, in terms of realizing the return, then you would realize that you will get investors to come aboard.
Every now and again, GOIL makes good things happen. This time, GOIL has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with GOIL Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. GOIL has that sorted. GOIL, good energy.
Electricity, pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the IC, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Welcome back from the break. Now, some local news and activities within Ghana's port and maritime industry next. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority continues to demonstrate its commitment to international exercises intended to create an environmentally safe and secure marine environment. This commitment has once again been demonstrated in the authority's participation in the 2023 edition of Obangame Express, a multinational maritime exercise in the Gulf of Guinea between January and February. The recent exercise saw GPHA's Marine Operations Unit liaise with the Ghana Navy in an oil spill response drill.
The Ghana Navy was in there to assist to cordon off the place to prevent the inflow of traffic around the particular area. And therefore the place was cordoned off, and then we deployed the booms. The booms, as it were, are designed to contain the spreading. Then they started with the skimmers to take in all the water and the oil that had settled at the surface of the water into the holding tank of the tugs. And then after that, we use the dispersant, which is a requirement, of course, with permission from the environmental agency. And then we did the needed mopping up. So this was to see our response time, our communication capabilities or limitations, if any. So in general, it was quite successful, and it was done contained within the stipulated time as was required.
The Obangame Express focuses on increased regional cooperation in maritime safety and security. This year's edition was designed to involve stakeholders in Ghana's maritime industry to ensure interoperability between maritime partners and cooperation at sea. It can be recalled that last year, GPHA participated in a similar drill under the Obangame Express project. A delegation from the Japanese private sector has paid a working visit to the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority as part of a wider program to understand Ghana's trade and investment climate and explore potential collaborations. The Japanese, who visited under the auspices of the Japan External Trade Organization, were made up of members of Japan's automobile, manufacturing, pharmaceutical, finance and insurance industries, among others.
Automotive companies and any other related company which is diverse into the chemicals, glass, steel and whatever. But for them, the logistics is a very important factor. So the port and road, or say overall transport infrastructure is one of the biggest point of concern.
They were accompanied by officials from the Ghana Free Zones Authority and the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, who are critical institutions so far as trade and investments in Ghana are concerned. The delegation was introduced to the services rendered at the ports of Ghana, with particular emphasis placed on developmental projects that are positioning the ports as the leading trade and logistics hub of West and Central Africa.
If you choose Ghana as a place where you would like to do business, you have access to greater markets beyond Ghana. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger are accessed through Ghana. And since Ghana has one advantage of being very peaceful, we have terminals and facilities that we have dedicated for these three countries. And so when you bring your cargo, we can consolidate, or the cargo is taken through these terminals and then transported to these landlocked countries.
With reference to the supply chain aspect and where the ports play a very prominent role in that, in terms of trade facilitation, yes, Tema is a place to work out that magic.
The Japanese delegation were informed about the benefits of using Ghana's free zones for business.
You can take land And as Japanese companies, you can set up your companies there and it can be designated as a free zone area. Or you can go into manufacturing. That is, you have your company and you manufacture products for export. Or you can go into services, mostly IT services as well. That's allowed under the free zones. Or you can be a commercial company. In this case, you have to bring in the goods in bulk, and you break the bulk in Ghana and probably export to the other African countries.
Let us now turn our attention to the global stage and pick a few international shipping and maritime news. Evergreen's giant 24,000 TEU container ship, Everacme, transited the Suez Canal on Friday, 3rd of February, while underway on its maiden voyage from Malaysia to the Netherlands. The ship is the newest addition to Evergreen's A-type vessel series and can carry over 24,000 containers. The head of the Suez Canal Authority, Lieutenant General Osama Rabi, said that the successful transit of the ship proves the readiness of the Suez Canal to handle current and future generations of large ships. The authority said that its development strategy involves direct communication with shipping lines and shipyards to exchange information and ensure future ships are able to navigate the canal safely. Everacme was delivered in December 2022 by its builder, Hundong Zhonghua Shipbuilding, 4 months ahead of schedule. Operations at the port of Iskenderun have ground to a halt following the deadly earthquake that rocked Turkey and Syria on the morning of Monday, February 6. The port has been subject to significant damage in the earthquake that measured 7.8 in magnitude on the Richter scale, leading to a full stoppage of operations. In addition, roads have also been heavily affected, further impacting the movement of cargo. Industry major Maersk said that, as a result, the company would have to reroute its ships to nearby ports that are up and running. The company noted that all booking cancellations, amendments, and changes of destination will be free of charge for Iskenderun and Mersin bookings throughout the month of February. It's now time for our Word of the Day segment, where we introduce words, jargons, phrases, and terminology so you can get familiar with them. Today's phrase is bollard pool. Bollard pull is the pulling power of a vessel, particularly relevant to anchor handling tug vessels and anchor handling tug supply vessels. It's now time for the schedule of vessels that have berthed in the ports of Tema and Takrade and at the anchorages of both ports and those expected in the coming weeks, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rates, which you may need to know to clear your cargo with. This is where we draw the curtain on today's edition of Iron Port. We hope you've been informed and educated. Remember, all Iron Port content and all our episodes can be viewed on our YouTube channel, Iron Port. Subscribe, like, and give us feedback. Thank you for watching.